I've found a YouTube video, and we're going to do a classic sort of silent movie thing. We're going to run it out of town, and I'm going to heckle or inform based on what we see up there, and occasionally I'll just ignore it and tell stories because I've only got 20 minutes. Starting off, first of all, I want to do a push for this July shorts thing. 3 minutes, you all, every dang one of you knows something nerdy that's 3 minutes long. It's true. And it's the best night of the year because every presenter tends to bring 3 or 4 friends. And the room is packed. And a couple years ago, I was the final presenter, number 16, right behind the gravel and put under railroads. Memorable. And the ballast, right? And everybody stayed. I figured I'd be in an empty room. It was cool. Everybody stayed. Then I presented on why you grade art students in a different scheme than you use for math and science or English or humanities. It worked. I actually then spun it into one at a professional conference. So 3 minutes, no big deal. Sign up tonight. Okay. How many of you know about the Society for Creative Anachronism? Okay. Short explanation. Well, we're rolling. Okay. These people are enjoying their version of the Middle Ages. So imagine it's the mid-60s. You're at a party in Berkeley, California. And the only rule is you have to dress up sort of like knights and ladies in waiting and that like that. You have so much fun that you end up doing it month after month, year after year. Okay, so in the mid-1960s this began. It's still going on now. This coming July, August, this event, which hosts a minimum of 10,000 people, probably have 16,000 people because it's the 50th one of these. I've missed 8. Okay, so this is a place in Pennsylvania. This is an hour north of Pittsburgh. Okay, so we have 2 chugs. Okay, 2 chugs are a particular group among us. Okay, so we're trying to give the history. So here we have Berkeley, Society of Creative Anachronism. Okay, because the party started at Berkeley, it spread through students. So from campus to campus, so forth and so on. Karyak, who was a student there, that's Karyak, came to the Midwest, won the tournament that allowed him to become king, sent a declaration of war to the East Kingdom, where it got filed in the drawer. But then he changed grad schools and became king of the East and read his own letter and accepted the challenge. And they had a war and he lost. So he declared war against himself and lost. But everybody had such a great time that they just had to do it over and over again. The first couple of ones were held in various farmers' fields. And then, I think by Pennsic 6 or 7, they were having it at this very particular campground. Okay, so these are the groups who made this video. And they can't hide the cameras, but to hide the t-shirts and whatnot, they get given garb. Part of this is like a Renaissance festival, except that the only people who aren't in the legal kit are staff. Okay, so we have EMTs, and we have locals that run things like the grocery store and the ice cream shops and so forth. We are doing creative anachronism. That is to say, we're studying everything before 1600 except the icky parts. We don't want to have plague. We don't want to fight about religion. We don't want to give up ice cream. So basically, we're throwing this costume party over and over again, year after year, year after year. So I've been to this one since 1980 without miss. COVID didn't get back. So all of this stuff is merchanting. I actually merchant there as a potter. first started in the SCA as a 15-year-old, I'd been from poverty. So, okay, so I gotta tell you, this guy, Timothy, he's an idiot. At one point, he will describe himself as an elder statesman. He's a fat guy who's with a stick. Speaking of which, I've put weapons and hand protection on that table to give you a sense of the two martial arts that we do. One we do is called rapier, and it's or steel or cut thrust, and it's done with steel weapons, but it mimics sort of Three Musketeers and the defensive techniques you use to stay alive on a city street. And then there's this stuff that's showing now. It's an armored combat. This is as if we had gotten off our horses and are going to whoop on each other. And we're unchoreographed, full force. But our scoring system is interesting. We go by an honor system where if we get hit, we go, okay, if everything ended real, I would lose the arm, or I would be dead, or I would lose the leg. And that allows us to have these big scenarios with up to 3,000 fighters at the same time, crashing together with only 50 safety people. Okay. Now, safety people are there because we try not to actually hurt anybody. And we had one, I'm going to wander the stories here, where we had called hold, which causes everybody to stop. So we called hold, everybody stopped, they did whatever they needed to do. We rose up, they said lay on, and within 5-10 seconds in our little area, we're calling hold again. And the safety guy is like, no, it's to lay on. And we say, no. And there's this guy whose helm, big steel helm, has been lifted off his head by an enemy's weapon. So he's down there like some movie god, but with no head protection. And all of us have put our weapons over to protect him. And we had shouted hold so that we could stop 3,000 people and get him out. And so the marshal's like, oh, yeah, hold. And everyone's like, why are you going? So this is another old fart. Okay, this exploration into medieval culture, including the martial arts, has progressed. And when he started and he won a crown tournament and became king and is now a count, it was sort of like the third year of karate or judo. Okay, so actually as a fighter, I don't think he was ever terrific. He was just good enough that day. Okay, so he comes to the events over and over again, and he's sort of elder statesman. We've gotten a lot better. And one of the things we learned, for instance, is that just like in period, you can do this in your 60s and 70s. Okay, so I'm 64. I started when I was 15. I am not the oldest fighter out there. Okay. We do everything before 1600. We used to be really focused on Europe. We're trying to be less so now, but we're still locking into that 1600. So you get a huge variety of armor and costume and various scenarios. So I'm going to ignore this for a little bit, just let this go, and tell you a couple stories. So in the 80s, there was a group from Wichita and Fayetteville that got an old school bus and came out as part of our kingdom. We now have 20 kingdoms around the world, including Australia's its own kingdom, Black. They send 20 or 30 people out to Pennsic every year. So in Pennsylvania, they have this weird, or certainly did have this no whims rule about drinking. You couldn't buy less than a case of beer. But you didn't have to get out in your car to do it. They had drive-through barns where you come through your car, you show them your cash, your credit card, and they put whatever cases in your trunk. And so these cheerful guys from our kingdom just volunteered. We're going daily into town to get the beer. And they decided that that was using up too much time. So they got this idea like on Tuesday. Back then it was a 1 week experience. Now it's a full 2 week experience. And they decided, okay, we're going to pass a hat, collect money, and get, quote unquote, all the beer for the rest of the war. And I want you to repeat that. All the beer for the rest of the war. Okay, so this is the group combat that we can do. And one thing about our martial art is we're learning about group combat in ways that no other martial art in the world is doing, because they're doing one-on-ones and maybe two-on-twos. So we can do 1,500 on 1,500. So they get the beer, and being generous souls, not only are they giving themselves a lot of beer, they're giving their friends a lot of beer, and they're giving people they go to Mac a lot of beer. And sure enough, by Wednesday morning, they're out of beer. So every day, it was all the beer for the rest of the war, which I've taken as a life lesson. For instance, when I go to get all the shingles for the roof on the shed. There's no such thing. You just give it up. You will always be going back 3 or 4 times. There is no all the beer for the rest of the war. We do fight in the woods occasionally. Huge number of stories that come out of that. There's a scenario, second story, where we have what we call champions battles. So 1 year, it's 30 on 30, and it's the best 30 from the Allied kingdoms. So of those 20 kingdoms, the war was started between the Middle and the East. And originally, they were fighting over possession of Pittsburgh. That is to say, the loser got Pittsburgh. Well, the people in Pittsburgh got a little pissed about that. But they ended up actually forming their own kingdom in between the Middle and the East, and it's called Ethelbert. So, ironically, they are the host kingdom, but the war is still between the Middle and the East. And, of course, there are all these other kingdoms. Okay, so just to interrupt. He's talking about persona. You can find this video, by the way, on YouTube and actually listen to their version of it. Persona is who you're imagining yourself to be. It can't be anybody real or from fiction. Okay, so he has a very specific persona, a 16th century sailor. It has sort of stories. What we have discovered is that when we first started this, people were having these huge fantasies about who they want to pretend to be. And what we've actually turned it into is you are who you are. You pick a name, you pick a culture for clothing purposes, but if you, for instance, want to pretend to be Guido the Troubadour and you can't sing, you're going to get a different nickname. You are what you are in a medieval context. This is the King and Queen of Ethelbert. This guy actually speaks with a fairly thick Swedish accent. We have theaters in Sweden, and I guess he must have moved to that area. Okay, so back to the champions battle. 30 on 30, it's a 30-minute scenario. You've got unlimited resurrection, which in this context means you get killed. Ooh, ow. You fall down dead, and you get up and you go to the magic hay bale, and you touch it, and you are restored, and you come back in. So basically, you are fighting against an unlimited number of opponents. You know, the other team will never run out. Okay, and we're fighting like possession of a hammer or something like that. So the first 3 minutes, I'm out there with a 6-foot-long weapon, and one of my squires, the fellow who lives in town, actually here in Carlsbad, he was going to move here in Carlsbad since 1976. He comes rushing up to me. Only he doesn't have a weapon. We've only been at this 3 minutes, and I'm like, Roderick, where's your spear? It slipped out of my hands when I was thrusting at someone. You threw your spear at someone? It's like, it's just a rule. No, you do not throw your spear. He's like, no, it slipped. I was just, and it just slipped. You threw your spear at someone. He's like, shh. It's like, okay, you want my backup? And I got this little short sword in the back of my belt. And he said, do you want that? I said, no, I need a place to hide, and I'll get something. Okay, this is interesting. So, and I figure what's going to happen is he's going to point somebody out, I'm going to rush up to him and distract him, and then he'll pick his pocket or something. No. Robert shoots over to this little guy from New Jersey, grabs his spear, and takes off. Okay, the reason we know he's from New Jersey is he starts cussing a rooster in New Jersey, which from a 5'4" guy in full armor is just funny. Oh my God! Okay, so Robert's run off with this spear. The Nite can't really complain to his own buddies because he's supposed to be one of the 30 best people, not from the Midwest, not from the East, here to show off, and an unarmed man just stole his weapon. Okay, I mean, there's no complaints department for that, but he goes way over. Okay, so Robert's running around killing with this throwing spear. This guy's chasing him, calling all kinds of names. Eventually, Robert goes, well, if you feel that badly about it, here, take your damn spear back. And he goes, I wouldn't have that spear back unless you. Robert's like, well, I really don't see how we're going to work around this situation. Okay, so eventually, New Jersey goes off, gets a sword and shield, comes over, plots an ambush, thumps Robert. Robert's on the ground laughing. New Jersey grabs his spear, heads back on. Right, he's on to it. He's what? Get loses maybe. But he's just laughing his head off. We're almost out of time anyway. We'll do this. Come on, stop. Okay. Anyway, the point is, okay, and then it ends, cool. Okay, so the battle ends. He goes back to Merchantland. He's an armorer. Showers change. He's walking down the street and he sees New Jersey with a couple of buddies walking down the street. Now the street is a grassy lane between tents. And he walks up to him and he grabs him by the right hand, to shake his hand, but also to not get punched. And he's going, oh, thank you, Mom. My God, that was so much fun at the Champions Battle. I had actually been thinking about giving up that CA fight. It's all just too boring, too normal, too blah. Today was magical. You just saved the whole essay for me. Thank you. What's up? These two buddies are like, he seems nice. The point is, what we're doing is we're creating stories. We love telling stories and we love making fresh stories. And that site is going to have probably 16,000 people there. Yeah, it's comfortable for 10 or 12, but because it's the 50th anniversary of this thing, we had 16,000 for the 30 year, and it was kind of crowded. It was the posts have bought more land and expanded. There's a county road that runs through the site, and an interstate that runs along one side, so there's limitations to what we can do. But it's, like a lot of temporary cities, Winfield, for instance, when they do a music festival or Oshkosh Fair show, it's a marvel. You can get on Google and look up Pennsic, and it will actually show you with the names the temporary roads that only exist 2 weeks out of the year, and our road names are. Happy to take questions. By the way, for summer shorts, and we don't have to